Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Embody podcast. Today, if everybody is wondering why we are speaking English, it's because I have the honor and the pleasure to welcome Mr. Dan Samek today in the Embody podcast. Welcome.
Thank you. The honor and pleasure is all mine.
We talked a lot about this podcast, and when we were talking about it, we said at that time it was just a joke actually that we want to make it in English. And now we're here and speaking English. I think I hope our audience will like it.
I'm sure they will.
Yeah, and I have to apologize in advance for my bad English. It's not that
Drink
good.
more wine.
Yeah, I will. But I think it's interesting to speak in your native language because I know you speak perfectly German. You know, we could easily make that in German too.
We could argue about that. My German's not that perfect.
No,
it's pretty good though.
It's pretty good. It's really good. Yeah. And you've lived here in Germany like how many years? 20 years?
Honestly, I pretty much grew up here in Germany.
So
I only spent about 7 years.
You spent your childhood
States.
here.
Yep.
A lot of your childhood you spent here, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Dan, we know each other for a long time now already, right? We were accompanying each other on our paths, and our path always crossed. And I have a big respect for your work and for your mindset and the thing that your passion. I think you're one of the most authentic guys in the industry.
Thank you.
And that's why I'm really, really happy to have you here in the podcast. And it's I think we're gonna have fun today.
I hope so. I'm sure we will.
Podcast,
I'm sure.
yeah.
We always have fun when we get together. So it'll be a good time.
So let me know what are you up to nowadays?
Wow, what am I up to? New projects, new challenges. I've had a lot of trials and tribulations in the last couple of months. Actually, the last couple of years.
But good turbulences.
Good. Well, the thing is, I mean, in every turbulence, in every trials and tribulations, there's opportunity. It really depends on how you view it. And I think coming out of those trials and tribulations, I viewed it as opportunity, and I've turned the bad into good.
What was bad? What was the initial bad thing? Let's be honest here.
Honest?
Yeah.
Not reaching the goals that you set yourself initially. Not being where you want to be by a certain time because of whatever reasons. So life goals. I'm a person, I love goals. I love moving forward. If you make a mistake, it's not about dwelling on the mistake. It's about, okay, figuring out what can I do better and move forward. Keep moving forward. And there was a good 3-year chunk in my life where I just constantly got bombarded, left and right, challenges.
That has nothing to do with the pandemic.
Pandemic was really only a very small portion of that.
All right.
There's just things that a hand that life serves you. You just kind of have to deal
For
with.
those people who don't know you
Sure.
yet, I
Sure.
think it's good to have a little introduction to your person, who you are. Let's just reflect on what your path was, where you're coming from. I know that you worked for Disney in the States, and you came over here to Germany. You worked for Fitness First under the management of who was that guy, the CEO at that time.
Martin Seibold.
Martin Seibold already. Yeah, he's still the CEO.
Yeah. He's
He's back
amazing.
again, right?
Yeah, he's back again. He's back again and changing the world.
Yeah. He's also a great guy. I would love to have him on our podcast in the near future.
Absolutely.
And then after that, you became your own. You built up your own business.
Yeah.
Right.
Let me go ahead and rewind a little bit for you, just to give everybody a little bit of an overview.
Yeah.
I'm not going to start back when I lived in the States because I worked for Disney for 3 years. I lived in Florida. I lived in Chicago. Started a company in Chicago. Came to Germany. I'm going to start from when I came back to Germany because that's actually the real story. That's where it really gets started. So I came back 2011. I came back. I moved from Chicago to Darmstadt. I'll tell you why later.
The Chicago of Germany.
Exactly. Yeah, I know, right? So I moved from Chicago to Darmstadt 2011. When I got here, I literally came here with nothing. So when I say nothing, what I mean is I had no work permit. I wasn't even allowed to be in the country because I only have an American citizenship. So I only had 3 months in this country before they would pretty much send me back. So I had to come up with a strategy. I had to come up with something. And I even went to the unemployment office. I was like, listen, guys, I need to figure something out. How do I get a job? What do I do here? And At the end of the day, they said, listen, we can't
But
help.
at that time, you could speak German at that time.
Yeah.
already.
I spoke German, everything. But the fact is, I'm an American citizen.
Yeah.
So being an American citizen in Germany, you don't really have the weight of somebody that is really living in Germany, is registered here in the whole 9 yards. So I had a really hard time establishing myself in the very beginning. Long story short, I went self-employed. So I signed up for a Gewerbeschein, so that you're allowed to do business on your own.
Then you get your visa.
Exactly.
Really?
But the thing about it is, being an American is interesting, because being an American here in Germany and you want to be able to work here self-employed, you have to write a business plan.
But let me just ask you one quick question, and then you can continue on. Why did you want to come to Germany at all in the first place?
Love.
Oh my God.
Love is always the answer.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Romantic.
Yes,
Yeah.
I met the woman of my dreams.
Yeah, with whom you're still together,
Absolutely.
living together, strong relationship.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Nadine.
Yes, shout out to Nadine.
She's a great woman, yeah.
She is a great woman.
Yeah,
she
yeah,
is.
yeah.
And so she was the reason why I came back. It was either we moved to Chicago or we moved to Germany. And since she had really established herself here in Germany, and I'm pretty much one of those guys, I can make it happen anywhere. Give me a couple months, I'll land on my feet. I'll put something together. So getting back to the story, went self-employed, and I started doing small, odd jobs here and there. A little bit of graphic design, a little bit of speaking, a little bit of these, that. Just little projects here and there. And I ended up doing some projects for Beta. It's a certifying body here in Germany. I ended up working for them just over 10 years, really giving seminars as a facilitator, helping with the marketing, helping with the graphics, helping the design, the image, helping really to instill a level of camaraderie, team spirit, and inspiration, just to kind of get the whole thing going. So I did that for a good 10 years. And within those 10 years, I had other opportunities pop up. One of the opportunities that popped up was within the EMS industry. So somewhere right around 2014, 2015, I had an opportunity to have a client, an EMS client, very large client.
We can say this name.
Okay, so Terra
right?
Sports.
That's how we also met. It's Terra Sports.
Exactly. So Terra Sports, I had an opportunity there.
It's a chain in Germany who are operating a microstudio concept with EMS training.
Exactly.
Right, yeah.
EMS training. And their concept was they wanted to open up one facility per month, every month.
Very ambitious. And they almost accomplished it.
They did for about a good 2.5 years. They were doing that. Yeah. So I spent about 1.5 years with them. So I got the opportunity to accompany them over 16 grand openings. So all my expertise, everything that I've learned over the 20 years of being in the fitness industry, and also with Disney, I was able to implement into their company, into their concept, whether it be leadership, motivation, sales, marketing, whatever it might be, promotions. That lasted about 1.5 years. And at some point, you kind of realize, okay, it's time to move on. So that work relationship ended, and I then moved on to a company called Körperform, also one of the big players in the German market.
Yeah,
one of the big players.
The biggest.
I would say second biggest. I would say Body Street's the biggest.
Doesn't Körperform has more?
No, they don't. They don't. No, really? They're close, but they don't have more than Body Street.
Oh, really?
Yeah, okay. They're number 2. Okay. Very successful organization, very successful business structure. Just their business model is fantastic. So I worked with them for a while, and then I started realizing, if I'm doing this for everybody else, why don't I just create my own academy, my own certifying body? So right around 2017, 2018, I founded the EMS Academy. That time was the EMS Academy. And I was giving all kinds of lectures and schoolings and all kinds of programs. So basically, I was driving all over Germany speaking. I was running myself ragged. I was constantly on the road, constantly driving, constantly doing stuff. And I thought to myself, there's got to be an easier way of doing this. How can I scale this? Because I can't duplicate myself. So how do I scale this? Well, let's digitize it. Let's create e-learning programs. So from that point, I then met some individuals from Mia Body Tech. And we sat down, we collaborated, we brainstormed for a couple of days, not at a time, over a couple of weeks. And we're like, hey, why don't we do a company together? We'll call it the EMS Business Academy. And we stand for the acquisition and the retention of members for EMS studios. So everything marketing, regarding marketing, sales, promotion, everything you need to make your facility really work is what we want to digitize and offer people on an e-learning program. And we launched that right around 2019. And to get back what I said before about those 3 years of trials and tribulations, 2019 to 2021, 19, 20, and 21, those 3 years were without a doubt the hardest years of my life. And I've been through quite a bit. Anybody that knows my stories from Disney and the things that I've been through knows that when I say the hardest time of my life, it was brutal. And I know everybody out there that is successful in business and has their chains and has their companies, we all go through it. I understand that. But this is my story, and it was brutal.
Explain to me what happened. What caused the tough situations for you?
I think the biggest situation or the biggest challenge was the fact that pretty much being a one-man show, creating a company, building something from nothing. Anybody that has done that knows what I'm talking about. But building something from nothing is extremely difficult and takes a lot of discipline. And it started off already bumpy, starting the company, getting the office space. And just as an example, we built a film studio. So we built a dummy EMS studio. Now, me being all ambitious and excited, I was like, I got this great office. It's fantastic. It's 160 drop meters. It's huge. It's going to be fantastic. Little did I know that there was a construction site right next to that building. Okay. So number one, construction site right next to the building. The entire office did not have air conditioning, and the roof was glass. Okay. Me, in my moment of excitement, was like, this is great. Let's sign the paper. It's going to be fantastic. I didn't think about summer because I was looking at it when it was cold out. So I never really realized, what kind of challenges will be coming. So what is it that I'm really doing? I have to film programs. So I'm going to be spending all the time in front of the camera. There's a construction site around the corner. The heat, the noise, everything. So I couldn't film during the day. I could only film at night. And 2019, if anybody remembers, that summer was brutally hot. So it was like 38, 40 degrees outside. As soon as you walked into that office, it was so hot in that office, you couldn't breathe the air. It was ridiculous. Some of those videos, I was literally standing there in shorts or in some cases underwear and flip-flops. I only had a suit from the waist up because it was so hot. So during the day, I'd be doing all the marketing, I'd be doing all the calls, all the content creation, the editing, all that stuff. And at night, I'd be filming. So literally, I would get 2 to 4 hours of sleep daily.
But at
over
the end
a period
of, the day,
of months.
You were productive. Still, you're productive. You still
Absolutely.
figured out the way how to do it. So what was the tough? I mean, I understand the heat and the conditions, but you worked around that. So where was the toughness?
Where was the toughness? Have you ever had sleep fatigue?
Yeah.
Do you know what it's like? You know what it's like to
Yeah.
be so tired that you can't even think straight. Now, combine being exhausted, physically and mentally exhausted, with heat, construction site right in front of the door, and trying to get something done on a time schedule.
So
Pressure.
It weared you off, right? It weared you out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It completely weared me down.
Yeah.
And then to top that, there's a lot of personal things that were happening in my life. A couple deaths in the family that hit me very hard. And then I think the biggest thing that hit me that really took the last bit of wind out of my sails was when my mother was diagnosed with cancer.
Oh, no.
And she was diagnosed with cancer 2020. End of 2019. So just as I'm getting started with this project, already somewhat drained, my mom gets diagnosed with cancer, terminal cancer. So there is no chance for her to get better. It's spend as much time with your mother because she's not going to be here much longer. So I would literally work during the week, Monday to Friday, bust my ass. And then Saturday, Sunday, for the most part, I would go down to Kaiserslautern, where my mother lives, and I'd visit and spend time with her, or go to her chemotherapies with her, whatever I possibly could. So there was that. And there's just all these other issues that I don't want to get into now that just pile on and pile on and pile on. At some point, I literally remember sitting in the studio thinking to myself, all right, man, how am I going to do this? How do I get this done? I've got another 342 videos I have to do. I've got content I have to create. And it was just so draining. But all I could say is one step at a time. Just keep moving forward. Get one video done, get one content done. If you got to sleep, sleep. If you got to lay down on the floor for a little bit, lay on the floor. That's what it's about. Just keep moving forward.
How was the financial situation at that time for you? What was the money still coming in? Were you able to sustain yourself?
Yeah, definitely able to sustain myself. So the money was coming in. That wasn't the problem. We had a fairly quick success with the EMS Business Academy because when it's interesting, and a lot of people don't know this. I might even out myself when I say this, but hell with it. So when we launched the product, it's a 52-week product. So 52 weeks, every single week, you get 4 educational videos. When we launched the product and actually started selling it, I only had 6 months done. So as people were already in the program, subscribing to it.
That's a lot of pressure.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. It got to the point where I was so exhausted. I was so tired, but I had to keep going because if I didn't, people
You're
that
not
are in the program.
fulfilling your promise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
you already sold the full year and you only made half.
I know,
6
right?
months.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so I got that done. I made that happen. And it took me about a year and a half to get the German program done. And then when I was done with that, literally, okay, so let's do the whole thing again in English. So I had just finished a year and a half of what I just told you about, going through everything, doing everything. And then the investors were like, okay, yeah, that's good. So how far are you on the English program? I'm like, haven't started yet. They were like, well, you need to get started on that now. So I spent the next year doing the same thing, but in English. And at this point, I had completely rebuilt the inside of the studio to block out the light because I had learned from my mistakes. So now I had streamlined it. So I was able to get it done a lot faster. And being English is easier for me anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was...
But you finished the project?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you finished it?
You always finish what you start.
What
always.
happened with EMS Academy now?
EMS Academy is still
alive?
We're still alive. We're
still running it?
You're still running it, still rocking it.
It's still online, okay.
The thing about it is, though, I have automated it, and we're going to talk about this later on, too. I have automated it in a way that I have a funnel system.
Oh, okay.
So for me, it's all about automation, making things work without me really working. That's what scalability means to me. Yeah. I want to create something that I generate revenue when I'm sleeping, when I'm on vacation. I don't want to only make money when I work. So I've set that in motion. It's working. It's running. Could it be running better? Yes, it could be running better. But I've made a couple strategic moves, strategic partnerships now that are definitely going to move things forward in a strong way.
And looking back now to this hardship, you know, and the tough times, I mean, it's very subjective. Nobody can really feel the same way the situation as you when you were going through that whole things, and everybody has their own experiences in that time.
Sure.
But looking back now from today, I think you can definitely say that brought you here. That brought you to the next step.
Without a doubt. Right?
Without that experience and without the whole work that you've done, you wouldn't have the opportunities that came to you actually, right? Let's talk about that a little bit. Right?
Absolutely.
Because new doors open up for you, right?
You know, I want to quote my mom on something that she said. By the way, my mom passed in November.
Oh, I'm really sorry.
November 21, she passed. Yeah. I ended up putting her under the ground, burying her on my birthday.
Oh, no.
So, but it's all good.
Yeah, my condolences. I didn't know about that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's... Anyway, she used to always say to me, because when I was going through all that, she was the one person that really... Now, there's 2 people. Nadine, too, she had my back. But my mom was always, like, interested in what's happening. And she said to me, she said, Danny, no matter what you do, things will fall into place. Just be true, work hard, and have pure intentions. Things will fall into place. And I've taken that to heart. I've always really operated like that, but even more after hearing her say it. And everything she had said has come true. Things fall into place. If you work hard, you stay true to yourself, treat people good, things will fall into place for you. And things fell into place. Yeah. I was contacted by individuals that I didn't even have on the radar. They found me and they're like, hey, Dan, you've done great work with this. We'd love to do this and this. Are you interested If yes, let's meet. I met tons of opportunity again, tons of opportunity. And I'm happier now, having gone through what I went through, I'm happier now than I've ever been because I see things through a different lens. Also, I don't take things so serious anymore. When my mom passed and that happened, I was like, you know something? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We got maybe 30 or 40 years left. 30 or 40 years.
If you're lucky.
If we're lucky. Well, I got probably 50 or 60. I don't know about you.
We are almost in the same age.
Yeah, I know, but it doesn't matter. I live a healthier lifestyle than
yeah,
you do.
you really think so? All right.
I'm just kidding.
Let's not dive too deep into this. Okay.
See, now I lost my train of thought. What was I talking about?
You
lost it too. I thought you were listening to me.
No, we don't have too much time left.
Exactly. We don't have too much time left. So at the end of the day, it really matters about being true to yourself, working hard, moving forward, and just trying something new.
Yeah. Hard times people are facing hard times every now and then. And I can personally say that I had my sleepless nights, sometimes even today, nowadays. There are always coming up new issues. And I feel like this journey, this path that we are going is never ending.
Sure.
It's not the last time that you had a hardship. Mm-hmm. It wasn't the first time, right? So it will happen again. But the point is, what do we make out of these situations? How do you how do you work with them?
I want to say something really quick, just to piggyback off of what you said. I actually welcome hardship. This is going to sound a little bit crazy, but I welcome pain. I welcome challenges. I welcome hardship. Because who I am today, who I'm going to be, depends on how I deal with that hardship. And there are some individuals, something bad happens, hardship happens, and they talk bad, in their head, bad to themselves. I failed, I suck, I'm terrible, whatever else. I'm going to give up, I'm going to let go. That's how dreams die. I've always welcomed the pain because I know to the core it will eventually change me for the better if I choose to see the opportunity in it. And I think that's, in a lot of cases, that's what's also kept me going.
I think it's absolutely true. And I really can agree to that 100%. I think it's easy to say that this is the right way to cope with it, because when you're in the situation, in a dark moment, because it's not always just about, when you fail, you can get up again. Sometimes it's about situations which are existential.
Absolutely.
It's about everything.
Yep.
Your whole financial situation, you have your loans, you have your mortgages,
Yep.
you have so many liabilities, and everything's on the table.
Yep.
And you have to manage the pressure, especially you have family, you have kids, you have to take care of everything. And
so let me ask you, what do you do in your darkest moments?
Honestly,
what do you do to get out of that?
There are phases, I think, that I go through. In the beginning, it's frustration. In the beginning, it's anger. It's angst, and you get scared.
Sure.
You wonder, where will this lead me to? What kind of situation will I face afterwards, and will I go to jail or whatever? Whatever situation that you have. But I also learned my fair lesson about these kind of situations, because it's not the first time, and it's not going to be the last time. And today I had a really good conversation with our CEO, and we talked about this kind of philosophical issues, about this exactly that issue. And actually she said, like, she expressed her anxiety, how depressed she is because of certain situation and so on. She just let me know her feelings, her emotions, and I really appreciate it, because it's not normally the way we talk with each other. And it cleared my mind a little bit, because I said, okay, it's okay to feel that, but it's even more important to get back on your feet again.
Sure.
Because it's useless to lie down.
Sure.
And at least if you can stand up one more time, then you're gonna make it.
Yeah.
And I believe exactly 100%, as you said, it's a opportunity to learn, even if you fail, even if it's not successful, even if the result is bad. and you have to pay your price. You know, my wife always tells me, don't worry so much about money. You know, money and material and where we live in and everything that we have is just material. As long as we have our health, you have a beautiful, healthy child. You know, these things you can't buy with money. You know, and that gets you back on your feet, and that makes you how do you say? It grounds you. You know,
Grounds you.
back to earth. Yeah. You
Yeah, that's
back
right.
to
It
earth.
grounds you.
It grounds you. You know, and you see, okay,
It
everything
humbles
that we are
you.
dealing
It humbles
with,
you.
it humbles you.
Humbles you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everything that we are dealing with, the financial pressure, the business, you know, the adversities.
Adversities.
It's not that important, because when you die, when you're in your bed and you're about to die, you won't think about these moments.
Absolutely.
You will think about the moments that you have with your family. You will have your regrets, you know, and these regrets won't be like, why did I make this kind of business decision? You know, that won't be the issue there.
I think that one of the most important things for anybody in business, whether you're an entrepreneur or you're employed somewhere, I think the very most important thing is don't half-ass it. If you give everything you've got and you fail, you didn't fail. You did not fail. And the level of regret is different if you know you gave everything. And those 3 years with the EMS Business Academy, building that, setting that up, I gave it. I threw everything I had at it.
But hold on. I think there's one more point, which is very, very important, I think, in what you said. When your intentions are pure, you know, when you have a pure intention and you want to do something good, and not just purely because of to satisfy your own personal interests, but to pursue something bigger, you know, and that intention is pure, I think then that will lead you to new opportunities.
Absolutely.
Right?
I
If you have
fully agree.
bad intentions, if you have something in your mind which is little, how do you say, you're like a weasel.
Sure,
you know?
sure. Snake in the grass.
Yeah. If you're that kind of person, I think, no.
Yeah.
Then you will have to pay the price, and
Yeah.
it will bring you down at some point of life.
Yeah. And it's funny that you say that because, and I'm really going back very far, but when I worked for a fitness company, Fitness First back then was called a fitness company, I worked in sales. And what you just said about true intentions, pure intentions, and not so pure intentions, that was exactly it. Because back in the day, I would sell my closing rate. I would just close hard. And for the most part, I would do whatever needed to be done to close that deal. And moving forward, it didn't fulfill me because I knew I wasn't being true or have pure intentions. So that's where I literally made that cut, moved to the States, followed my dream of working for Disney, reestablished, rebuilt myself. Chicago back to Germany, different person.
And then you came back with the beard?
Yeah, I came back with the beard, exactly. Because at Disney, you can't grow a beard.
Really?
You have to be clean shaven every single day at Disney. It's terrible.
I was just joking.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's. I think pure intentions and hard work is key to success. One of the keys to success, I think.
Yeah. So let us talk about the things that you're doing now, right, today, because this big organization, Sports Alliances, they came to you, they observed you, they probably similarly they saw what you did, and then they approached you and said like, hey, you want to work for us, right? And they have a special project in their mind. Can you elaborate that?
I can't elaborate too much on that. I'll give you an overview, which is a rough overview. But it wasn't really, I wouldn't say the Sport Alliance. It was one of the departments of the Sport Alliance, a single individual that seeked me out. So they have a new project that they're doing. They're doing it now. It's called Open Space. And this new project has several other departments built into it. And what they needed was somebody, pretty much my qualifications, somebody that thinks globally, has international experience, speaks English fluently, and obviously, read
Are
and
they
write.
international? I mean, are they really present in the States?
They're not that present yet, but soon to be.
Oh, really?
So
Okay.
And one of the things I have to say right off the bat too, and I just got a big shout out to Sport Alliance. The organization is very close to Disney. The level of internal camaraderie and internal inspiration and motivation to really make something happen literally is similar to how it is when I started with Disney. The onboarding process, the welcome packages, the communication, the meetings, everything from A to Z, phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Blew my mind because I'm used to that in the States, American companies being like that. And this is a German company that is so innovative in the way they work. They mainly want to work remote. That's, by the way, that is the new way to work, working remotely, everything being digitized. So they came to me end of last year, and they reached out and say, listen, we have this project. It's going to be this, this, and this. We're looking for somebody like you. Are you interested? And I was like, sure.
Is Daniel Hanel the CEO of Sports Alliance?
He is.
Shout out to Daniel.
Absolutely. Great individual. The guy is...
the guy with the hoodie.
The thing is, that's the culture of the company. Yeah. Everybody has their hoodies. Really? So when you start, when you actually get hired, you get to choose a hoodie. So everybody there has a hoodie. Oh, really? Yeah, everybody has a hoodie. Yeah. But yeah, so I came on board, and it's just the opportunity was too big. The vision was too big for me to go, nah, I'm not going to do it. I love anybody that knows me, I'm a big picture guy. And the vision is so big, I got to be a part of that.
So I understand you can't really talk too much details
I can't.
About the project, but
top secret.
I heard a little bit about it, and I think it's very, very interesting. But let's talk about the industry that you know best, the EMS industry, the EMS microstudio industry, right? And you know the German industry very well. You know the international. Sure. You've been to so many countries with your EMS Academy. What do you think is the specialty of the German EMS clubs compared to other countries?
I would have to say the level of, not in all cases, but most cases, the level of professionalism.
Higher?
Higher.
In
Germany is higher than pretty much anywhere else that I've come across. Level of professionalism in the sense of structure, processes, marketing processes, sales procedures, everything. They pretty much have it fine-tuned. They know what to do. That's not the question. The question is, why are they not doing it? And that's, for the most part, I think a lack of proper employees.
Okay, hold on.
Sure.
Are the German EMS clubs financially more, in average, more successful than the micro studios in overseas in other countries?
Yes. I would say yes. I mean, the strongest EMS markets right now is France, aside from Germany. Germany aside, that's a given. But France is extremely strong. Poland has gotten very strong. The United States will be a powerhouse in about 2 or 3 years. Right now, they're just dipping their toes in the water.
Is there a movement there in the States with EMS?
Very small.
I know that I know that some of our clients, they try to move on. They try to expand in the States. But as far as I know, none of them are really hugely successful.
These people that are trying to move to the States, are they native to the country?
No.
Okay. That plays a big part. Because I had a project that I did with Body Street, Matthias Lehner. I went to Arizona for I think it was about a month or so, and I was there helping get the studio back on track and things.
The Body Street over there.
Yeah, the Body Street over there.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I realized is the mentality of the employees are different. So you've got college kids that are basically trainers, and these the education system in the States is different than here in Germany. Everything is very much very social, very sports oriented, very much about just having a good time, about entertaining. That's really what it's about. Here in Germany, if you look at a trainer, for the most part, I would probably say 75 to 80% of the trainers here, they've got tons of book smarts, but they lack the emotional intelligence to really excite the members. Now in the States, it's pretty much the other way around. You've got trainers that really, I'm exaggerating when I say this, can barely spell their name. I'm really exaggerating, so please don't take it with a grain of salt. But they have such a level of excitement and enthusiasm for what they do. They love their profession that just pours out of them, meaning the people love to work out and train with them. And if you're not from that culture, you don't understand how that works, you're going to have a very hard time becoming successful over there. Because Americans want to be entertained.
But I would say the German people, they don't want to be entertained. They don't like the enthusiasm. They don't appreciate the passion.
You're talking about the trainer or the actual client?
People, the clients. If they have a trainer like that, if I'm training EMS, and I worked out in an EMS club, and I can really see the differences between the trainers. And I always love to train with somebody who's giving me the extra portion of motivation and enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And that gets me to the limit, or maybe even further.
The best trainers are those who can adapt to the client. I don't think it should be one or the other. I don't think super entertainer type is the success story. And I don't think the super book smart trainer is the success story. I think you have to be a good mixture of both and be able to turn it on and off depending on who you're training at that moment. I think that's the magic touch.
Yeah.
And I tell this to everybody. I says, when you're hiring somebody for a training position in the EMS studios, do not hire trainers. Hire salespeople. Hire people that have a sales mentality, because it's easier to teach them how to train somebody via EMS training methodology than it is to teach somebody how to sell.
It makes so much sense.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. It makes so much sense because training is not a mechanical thing. Training, in order to train properly, you need that kind of mindset and the kind of motivation, in order to really go to your limits.
Absolutely.
Right? It's not just a homework program where I just do my little movements and that's it.
Yeah.
That's not what training is. Training is going to your limit.
Yeah.
And you only are willing to go to the limit when you have the right mindset. Otherwise,
Absolutely.
you can't even bring the rest out of you.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. What I say too is, I've always said this since I started in the EMS area, I think the trainers have expiration dates. Because the trainer has such a limited career path within an EMS studio, there really is only, okay, I'm a trainer, and then I can either become studio manager or I can open up my own EMS studio. There's no real career path there.
Yeah, right.
So when you have a trainer that's really only there to make a couple bucks or pay his bills or whatever, doesn't really care too much about it, that trainer has an expiration date. Let it be a year and a half. But after that, he's going to be like, okay, I'm bored with this.
Yeah, how long can you make that?
How
long can
think
you
about
do
it. Every single day.
Year,
every single day you're giving 5, 6, 7, 8 trainings. It's pretty much always the same thing. Now do that for a year. You're going to be burned out.
Some people are doing that like for 20 years, and then they wake up and they think like, what have I achieved?
Exactly. So I think if there's a better career path for the trainer, and this is something that is there within large organizations.
But what do you do when you are the operator? You have your own clubs. Maybe you have several clubs, and you need trainers. And there's an expiration date on them. So in 1 or 2 years, they're probably going to leave, and you constantly have to find new trainers. And once you have this trainer and he's a great guy, he's fantastic, and there's an expiration date, and in 1 or 2 years he's gone or she's gone, how do you work with that? I mean, what's the solution?
I can tell you, and again, I need to state this, is very important. I've never owned my own EMS studios. I've only managed, I've run, I've never really had...
But you've seen...
I've seen it, absolutely.
You've seen way more EMS studios than any EMS club owner.
That's probably true. Across the globe. That's
why
true.
I think you're absolutely have the right to say something about that.
So here's what I can say. If I had a studio and if I knew the trainers that I have an expiration date of, let's say, 2 years. This is just my own personality. This is my own take on it. I wouldn't focus so much on making that trainer a good trainer for my facility. I would focus on making that trainer a good human being. I would help him succeed in what he wants to do after those 2 years. Because the more I invest in him, the more I help him reach his goals, the more I help him be successful and grateful in his life, the more he will give back to me. And I wouldn't do it because I want back from him, but I would do it because it's the right thing to do. In some cases, you have, kids in these studios. They're their early 20s. They really don't know what they're doing yet. I think to a certain extent, it's our responsibility being in our 30s, 40s, and 50s, being entrepreneurs, being business owners, I think it's our responsibility to really help these individuals mature to a level where we made an impact, we changed something. Because it's the name of the game. These people are not going to stay there forever. They're just not. 2 years, maybe 3, but they're not going to be there forever. So let's just accept that for what it is and do the best we can with that individual during the time that he's there.
But let me ask you the obvious question then. What does the operator get out of it?
Didn't I just say that? So let's say I have employee A. And employee A's dream is to someday, become a personal trainer, athletic trainer. I don't know, something outside of EMS training. He's only doing this right now to pay the bills. Just an example. I would sit down with that individual. I would ask him, so where's the journey going for you? What do you need to be successful? What do you want? What do you need? Where's it going? How can I help you? And in return, what can you do for me? So it's kind of a negotiation. It's kind of a, how can I help you help me kind of thing. And I think that doesn't happen often enough, that operators, owners have these conversations with their employees. A, because they don't know how to do it themselves. And B, maybe they don't care.
I think it's a very, very interesting point because as a business owner or CEO or manager, and you have your team, your assistants and the young people, the next generation coming in. I think in Germany, we tend to work with these employees, let's call them employees, in a way you're kind of exploiting them. You pay them money.
Expendable.
And no, exploitable.
Exploitable, okay.
Yeah, because you pay them and you expect a certain attitude, you expect a certain amount of work and you just do your hours properly and that's fine. And as long as we are there in this matching, you get your salary, I get the work and that's the fair deal. And we see it very, very purely as this kind of relationship. But what you're bringing in now is there's a responsibility actually.
Absolutely.
There's this responsibility to be a mentor, a life coach, you are somebody who's more mature, has more life experience, and why don't you give that back to the young people? Even if that doesn't really suit you. Even then, because these people are in your company and you are responsible for them. And try to make them better human beings, as you said. And somehow in the universe, that will come back to you. That's what you're saying.
Exactly what I'm saying. But I also have to, big shout out to an individual here. I have to say I was very fortunate at a very young age to get to work with Martin Seibold.
Oh, yeah.
He might not even know this because you never really talked about it.
I will see him at the end of September.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll tell him I said, hey.
Okay.
But he, in a lot of ways, was a mentor for me. So I was in my early 20s, and I literally went from sales employee to regional manager. I was 21, and I was in charge of 11 facilities. I was opening grand openings. I mean, I was just go, go, go. And I didn't know where my head was. And Martin Seibold did exactly what I just said. I was fortunate enough to have somebody that invested that kind of an energy, not into me as an employee, but into me as a person. And he said things that to this day, I mean, that's 25 years ago, to this day, I still think about. They're in my head. When I give seminars, when I give speeches, when I give coachings, I still use his words because they were so true. And it fundamentally changed who I am, how I think, and how I operate. And now being in the position I am, I'm able to give back. I'm able to take his message that I have really internalized over the last 20, 25 years, and also Disney, and give it back. And that's what I'm saying here in this podcast. That's what I'm saying right now. It's not only about what can you do for me. It's about what can I do to help you be a successful human being. It's my responsibility. It's all our responsibilities when we're in manager leadership positions. That's what leaders do. Leaders make you better.
I think that what makes a leader, maybe. It's a truth. I really agree with this, and I hope that I am on this path. With managing my team. I don't know how much I succeed with that. But I learned my lessons too, and I think in the past years, I built up a certain gap between me and my staff. And because I'm always out, I'm always presenting, I'm always representing, on the events and networking and so on, and trying to build up new cooperation and so on. And in the meantime, I lose the connection with my team. And someday I come here. I'm at some days.
You're like, who are you?
Office,
do you work for me?
No, not like that. But it's like I'm completely out of the picture.
Sure.
I don't know where they're standing, how they're feeling, if they're happy or not. And that was a realization a few months ago, and I really had to rethink the way I'm working. And I deeply thought about what kind of leader I should be and what leadership is all about. And I tried to change a few things. I don't want to go too deep into this, but it's going in this direction where I really try to find out what is your purpose, what is your interest, why are you working here?
Sure.
And what I try to do is to find a match between your personal interests and the company's interests. And if you can find a match, what you really love to do goes in the same direction of what the company needs, then we have a perfect match. And then I will do everything to support you to become successful.
Fantastic.
And that's the way I try to figure things out. But we had many people in our company coming in, and they're not here anymore. And I would be proud if somebody out there would say the same words that you said about Martin Seibold today about me. I don't know if that's true, but Chang, that would make him, I think, very, very proud to hear that.
Yeah, I think,
and also about you. People who got to know you, make their experiences with you, had their years with you.
Yeah,
I think at some point you will be very proud if they come sit somewhere else in the world and talk about you in the same way.
It's funny because every now and then I'll get a message from somebody and they'll literally write me, and this is like 5 years ago. They visited a seminar, they had a coaching with me. And I'll get a message out of the blue and they'll be like, hey, Dan, I'm so-and-so. You probably don't remember, it's 3, 4, 5 years ago. What you said really rang true. It changed my life. Thank you so much. That right there is worth more than any money you could give me. The feeling you get from that is absolutely phenomenal. And I've known you for a couple of years. You're a good person. Your intentions are pure. And I can really imagine there are a lot of people out there listening to this right now going, yeah, I used to work for him. He's a great guy. I guarantee
not everybody, probably.
Definitely not everybody. No, everybody doesn't like me either. So
but I accept that. And that would make me really happy to hear that. But and I think, in life, when we are working very, very hard, and we are accomplishing many good things, but we are also failing in a few things. We make good decision, bad decision, and we don't always make things right. We don't always treat people in the proper way. And I know that I don't always find the right words or make the right decisions and hurt people unintentionally. But that's a part of the game. And what's most important is to be open enough to listen and to correct things when you know, and to admit that you made a mistake.
Very important. Admit and apologize.
And what you need for that is humbleness. Do you say humbleness?
You can say humbleness. Yeah. I think also what's very important, not only to being humble, but self-awareness.
Yeah.
Self-awareness is key. Yeah. Really taking time to reflect. What I just did, was that right? Yes or no? If no, why not? How can I do it better next time?
But the self-awareness, if you think about yourself that you're the best of the best, and that's your self-awareness, you won't be able to.
But that's not being humble.
Yeah. So I think
it's a combination.
You have to be humble in order to accept failures, right? Otherwise, you will never accept your own failure. You will always see the failure externally.
The thing that I find interesting too is you have a lot of people in the industry, also other industries, they think they're the best, the greatest. It's important, even when you're the greatest, to take a step back and go, you know something, this could be over tomorrow. And the same thing with if you're in a downward slope, if you're failing at the moment, you have to understand, okay, fine. I mean, this could change tomorrow. No matter where you at the very top, at the very bottom, it could change in a heartbeat. And that's being humble. That's understanding no matter what's happening right now, this could change. Yeah. So enjoy the moment, be humble, and don't overextend yourself.
Yeah, yeah. Truly inspirational. Yeah. I think I didn't know that this podcast would be that philosophical, but I really love it. That's a main issue, I think, for many people. If they're in a struggle, if they're in dark times, to get back to down to earth and to see what's really important, what they have, and not to see only what they would like to have. Yeah. It's very, very important to assess that, and then to find satisfaction in the things or the situation that you already have, and that nobody can take away from you. And as long as you have that kind of mindset, I think nothing bad can really happen to you. Even if you fail, you fail and you get back up to your feet, Even if you are financially destroyed, you get back, you move to a smaller flat, you move to a smaller thing, you don't eat in fancy restaurants anymore. That's okay, as long as you can keep your health and you have your loved ones.
I want to add just one little thing. This is also something that Martin told me many moons ago, and it's one of the lessons that stuck with me. I tell this to everybody. You have so many people out there on social media or whatever they're trying to do, and they're looking for a better life. They're looking for the answers. They're looking for that good job. They're looking for that great partner. Don't look. Create. Create the life that you want. Manifest what it is that you want. It's not about finding. It's about creating. And that's something that, since my mother passed away, I have dove into that 110%. It's all about creating. Yeah. It's about feeding your mind with knowledge, reading books, having inspirational conversations, only being around people that help you become a better person.
Yeah, and walking the walk.
Walking the walk, absolutely.
Because sometimes in social media, especially now that you mention it, it's people are presenting themselves in a way they would like to be, and present themselves with fancy cars, with nice food, nice restaurants, nice vacation, nice hotel and everything. And they post selfies from them about themselves. And I think sometimes I wonder, like, why are they doing that? What's the purpose behind that? Why am I posting a picture of me in this fancy situation and give a shout out to the whole world? Why?
Are you asking me why? Or are you just throwing that out there?
I'm throwing that out, but you can give me an answer if you have one. I believe they're doing that because they're lonely. I think they need this approval of people giving them likes and comments and so they feel complete. But that's like a drug. You need that from time to time, always, to get this approval externally because you don't have it internally. Right?
Absolutely. I fully agree with what you're saying. And it's funny because we could talk for hours just over social media content. Yeah. And one of the conversations I had with one of my best friends is we always talk about social media regulation. I would be a big fan of regulating social media, just like alcohol is regulated. Having a driver's license is regulated. There's so much responsibility that falls on these social media giants that they're doing right now. I think they're doing more damage than good.
Yeah.
And something like an Instagram account.
It doesn't really reflect the real world.
Absolutely not.
Because it's those who are very active, this power Twitters or power bloggers, they're not really, they're very loud, and you tend to consume it and see like that's how the world is, but it's not. The quiet people is the majority. People who don't comment are the majority, and those who are commenting and writing and posting their opinions about everything, it's the loud people. It's just a very small margin of the whole society. It doesn't really reflect the world. But if you're on that and you scroll it through, you get a picture of the world which is not really the way it is.
And depending on what you like, depending on what it is that interests you, your news feed will be different. Take politics, take whatever it might be. You're going to get you're going to be fed what it is that makes you have that high. Whether that's true or not.
It's very addictive.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It should be regulated.
That's why I don't like TikTok. I don't like TikTok because they conceptualize TikTok with everything which is most addictive from every other social media platform, right? And that's the combination, and that's a very, very dangerous and powerful thing. Sure. That's why we don't do any advertisements on TikTok.
Yeah, but it's very addictive, and I think it should be regulated at some point. Right now, it's the Wild West. Everybody's just doing what they want to do, and I think it needs to be regulated at some point.
Yeah. Dan, it's a pleasure, and we can continue to talk for hours and hours. I really thank you so much for being here today with us and spending your time. I hope in the near future we will have it again, this opportunity.
I hope so too.
And was glad to make it in English. I made it through with my bad
Your English is fantastic. I don't know what you're talking about. It's great.
My pronunciation is...
it's fantastic.
Yeah. But thank you so much, Dan.
Thank you.
And let's continue to talk in the next podcast.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Till we meet again.
Meet again.